I gripped the handle of my battered duffel bag, my hands shaking from a mix of fury and dread, as I stomped down the rickety wooden stairs of our old ranch house in rural Montana. Jack, my stepdad, lounged in his worn leather armchair by the fireplace, smirking like he had the whole damn world figured out. But in that instant, my grandma's whispered words flipped the script on everything: my revenge, my escape, my life. If I hadn't gone through it myself, you'd swear this was some over-the-top Hollywood thriller. But stick with me till the end, because sometimes the folks meant to shield you turn into the biggest threats of all. My name's Emily Hayes, and 6 months back, I never dreamed I'd be hauling us back to this dusty spread in the heart of Big Sky Country. At 28, I should have been killing it in my Denver loft, pulling all-nighters at the architecture firm, knocking back craft beers with coworkers who actually had my back. Instead, here I was, jobless and beat down, making what I thought was my final getaway from Jack's grip on the family ranch. Quit the act, Jack drawled from his spot, not even glancing up from his cattle market report in the local paper. His words cut through the crisp morning air like a barbed wire fence. That smug grin of his, the one that had shadowed my growing up years, said he held all the cards. We both know you'll crawl back in a week. Same as always. I froze halfway down the stairs, my fingers digging into the bag strap. The weight of those 6 hellish months crushed me like a boulder. 6 months of being treated like free labor on the ranch. 6 months of swallowing my pride while he and Aunt Linda, my dad's sister, slung barbs about my over-the-top ways and need for the spotlight. The living room reeked of his cheap aftershave and black coffee. Dad sat in the corner, fiddling with his phone, acting like he was deaf to the whole thing. He'd mastered that trick over the years, tuning out whenever Jack decided to take another swing at me. Aunt Linda sprawled on the couch, scrolling her social media with fake nonchalance. There she goes, putting on a show again, Linda muttered, loud enough to sting. Just like when she was a kid. Always gotta be the star of the rodeo. My teeth ground together. The hypocrisy burned. They were the ones turning this into a spectacle. All I'd done was stuff my gear and head for the door. No big speeches. No fireworks. Just a clean break from a place that had never felt like home. Let her hightail it, Jack went on, finally folding his paper to eye my reaction. She'll figure out quick that the real world don't pamper folks who holler wolf every time the wind blows. That phrase hit like a gut punch, right where he aimed. Cry wolf. As if every real hurt, every genuine sickness, every plea for help had been some kind of game. As if the busted leg at 12, ignored for days 'cause he figured I was milking it, was just kid stuff. As if that 103-degree fever he'd brushed off as girl drama hadn't landed me in the ER with pneumonia. I took another step down. Then one more. The old pine boards creaked under my boots. Or maybe they were joining the mockery. Everything on this ranch seemed to back Jack. Then I heard the soft scrape of slippers on the floorboards. Emily. Grandma Evelyn stood in the hallway, her white hair tied in a neat ponytail, her eyes sharp as a hawk's despite her 83 years. She'd always been the one who believed me, though Jack had kept her at arm's length, limiting visits, monitoring calls. She stepped close, ignoring Jack's huff, and slipped a folded note into my hand. Your mom, she murmured, so quiet only I could hear, would have torched this whole spread before letting them treat you like dirt. Her fingers squeezed mine. Sometimes, honey, the best payback ain't running, it's making sure they can't forget what they done. Jack rose then, his tall frame looming like he owned the place, which he pretty much did. Evelyn, don't go stuffing her head with fairy tales. But Grandma just gave him a look I'd never seen, cold, calculated, like a coyote sizing up prey.
Oh,
Jack, you ain't got a clue what real trouble looks like. But you will. She patted my hand and shuffled back to the kitchen, leaving me with that paper scorching my palm and a spark igniting in my gut. It wasn't rage or pain anymore, it was a shot at turning the tables. Jack had already brushed me off, sinking back into his chair with a grunt. Linda was back on her phone. Dad hadn't lifted his eyes once. They figured I'd folded. I shouldered my bag and headed out. But the shakes were gone. My stride was solid. I wasn't bolting blind. I was gearing up for something bigger. That note felt like a lead weight in my pocket as I sat in my truck outside the ranch gates. Before opening it, I let my mind wander back to the start, to when I first learned my hurts would always be second-guessed. My truths twisted. I was 6 when Mom passed. Cancer hit fast and hard, leaving our ranch house feeling like a ghost town under those endless Montana skies.
Dad, Tom,
gave it a go at first. He'd pack my school lunches, fumble through braiding my hair, mumble bedtime stories that paled next to Mom's lively ones. But grief wears you down, and Dad was never the sturdy type. That's when Jack rode in. 2 years later. He was the opposite of Dad, bold, bossy, always calling the shots. Dad hitched up with him after a quick courtship, desperate for help raising a kid he barely knew how to handle. Jack brought structure to our mess, timetables to our lazy days, and his iron-fisted rules. The first red flag waved when I was 9. I tumbled off the hay bales in the barn, landing awkward on my ankle. The school nurse in town sent me home with a note for an X-ray. Jack glanced at the swelling and called it a twist. Quit the theatrics, Emily, he'd said, wrapping it sloppy with vet tape from the stables. You just want to skip chores tomorrow. For 3 days. I hobbled around, feeding chickens and mucking stalls, tears stinging as I gripped the pitchfork left-handed. When the school principal finally rang home, worried about my limp, Jack grumbled and drove me to the clinic in Billings. The X-rays showed a clean break. Kids bounce back, was all he muttered when the doc chewed him out for the delay. She weren't whining that bad. But I'd begged, sobbed, pleaded. I just learned my say-so, didn't count under our roof. The cycle dug in deep. At 11, killer stomach cramps hit. Jack made me saddle up for school anyway. Everybody gets gut aches, he barked. 8 hours later, I was under the knife for a burst appendix, close call on rupture. At 13, what I now know were anxiety spells got labeled teen BS. At 15, killer headaches were excuses to dodge ranch work. At 16, I passed out during a family barbecue. From low blood sugar tied to the eating issues his constant nitpicking sparked, Jack told the neighbors it was just a phase. Aunt Linda had bunked in by then, after her second divorce tanked, and she echoed Jack like a parrot. Together, they spun the yarn. Emily the drama queen. Emily the spotlight hog. Emily the girl who cried wolf. Your mom pulled the same stunts, Linda would sneer. Which cut deepest 'cause it was a bald-faced lie. Mom had been tough as nails, full of life, facing her cancer head-on without sugarcoating or inflating. But I was too young to fight for her memory, and Dad was too wrapped up in his new setup to notice. The mind games worked so well that by 17, I doubted my own body. Pain hit? I'd quiz it. Was it legit? Bad enough? Am I overdoing it? I'd hold off till it was unbearable, then minimize it. Sorry for the hassle.
College was my lifeline.
Out at Montana State in Bozeman, my roommate Sarah found me doubled over one night from cramps that stole my breath. Why the hell didn't you speak up? She'd asked. The keys in hand for the ER. It's probably nothing, I'd whispered. Don't want to seem like a wuss. She gawked. Wuss? You're hurting bad. That's real. Not showboating. The doc diagnosed endometriosis. I'd suffered years. But the conditioning ran deep. Sarah held my hand as I bawled. Not from the ache, but from finally being heard. My pain mattered. It always had. That's when I started logging it all: medical charts, dated notes, pics of bruises. Not for payback then. Just to ground myself. Prove my body wasn't the liar.
Now.
In my truck with Grandma's note, I saw those files in a new light. The girl who'd been trained to doubt was now a woman ready to shine a light on the shadows. I finally unfolded Grandma Evelyn's note. Her script, wobbly but fierce. Read. Truth needs an audience. Sunday supper. I'll round 'em up. Sunday, 3 days out. I tucked it away and drove to the motel on the outskirts of our small town. Population barely scraping 2,000. As I flopped on the lumpy bed, staring at the peeling wallpaper, my thoughts circled back to how I'd wound up back under Jack's thumb anyway. Post-college, I'd built a solid life. My architecture degree snagged me a gig at Rocky Mountain Designs in Denver, top-tier firm. For 6 years, I flourished. Coworkers valued my sharp eye, clients name-dropped me. My boss,
Elena Rocky herself,
was prepping me for lead architect. My loft was cozy, every inch designed with care. Friends saw me as the go-getter Emily. Dating was spotty, trust issues lingered, but therapy helped unpack the baggage Jack and Linda had piled on. I was mending. Then came the crash. Our firm banked on a huge contract revamping ski resorts across Colorado. We'd burned midnight oil for months on the bid. When a rival undercut us by 25%, layoffs hit. Business is brutal. Emily, Elena said, sorry as hell. First call when we were bound. But the industry tanked. Applications flooded every opening. Savings drained. Rent. Bills. Grub. Loans. I pawned restored furniture. Let insurance lapse, a choice that'd bite hard. By fall, I was scraping bottom with $700 left. Dad's call came then. Jack says you can crash here till you're steady, he said. Tone flat.
No rent.
Just pitch in on ranch chores. Pride's a luxury when eviction looms. I loaded my Ford pickup and headed back to Montana, swearing it was short-term. Rebuild portfolio. Snag remote gigs. Bolt soon. But Jack had schemes. From jump. Pitching in meant slave labor, cooking 3 squares, scrubbing the house, washing clothes for all, tending the garden and livestock. Linda, freeloading herself, nitpicked like a hawk. Them windows got smudges. That stew's bland. Missed a weed patch. I was the unpaid ranch hand, minus the pay. Job hunts. Jack'd invent crises. Fix the fence. Muck barns. My laptop sessions got spied on. Still fiddling online? Even during applications. Video interviews glitched with his emergencies. Portfolio files corrupted on their desktop.
Confront him?
That smirk. You're seeing ghosts. Emily. Like always. My progress eroded on purpose. My half-brother Cody, Jack's kid with dad at 19, was the lone bright spot. Kind-hearted. Sharp-eyed. Nothing like Jack. He'd slip me bills from his mechanic job. This ain't right, he'd mutter. Temporary, I'd say, though we knew I was stuck. Denver firms ghosted me. 6 months unemployed screamed red flags on resumes. Jack hammered it. Maybe this is your lot. Watching me scrub floors on knees and elbows. The broom broke, he claimed. Some folks ain't cut for city lights. That's when I snapped. Better sleep in my truck than rot here. Dignity over comfort. But Grandma's note shifted gears. Sunday supper. Kinfolk gathered, aunts, uncles, cousins who'd seen my grind with pity or shrugs. They'd bought the tale. Poor Emily. Always floundering. Too dramatic.
Can't hack a job.
3 days to plot. To flip their script. My phone pinged, a text from Cody. Dad's twisting her exit into a fit over chore duties. Already buzzing cousins. I chuckled darkly. Even my getaway got rewritten. Sunday couldn't hit fast enough. The motel turned command center. I laid out medical logs, timelines, proof. But fate threw a curve. Saturday night. Cody called frantic. Emily, get back here. Dad's birthday bash got bumped to tomorrow. Whole clan. Ranch hands. Neighbors. And you're on grub duty. Ain't coming. Jack's threatening to say you swiped cash. He's seeding lies. Classic ploy. But I showed for Grandma and our plan. Sunday dawned hot and dry. Montana dust kicking up. Driveway jammed with trucks. Kitchen chaos. Linda fussing over table settings. Dad, wiping glasses. Cody hauling chairs. Jack met me at the door. Good you're here. Apps by noon. List there.
Cash.
Shoved bills. Strode off. And Emily, keep the spotlight off you today. By 11. I was swamped. 40 pounds of brisket to season. Veggies to dice. Dips to mix. Chest tightened around 10. But I chalked it to stress. Oven heat. Arm tingled. Sweat poured, normal for a scorcher. Right? Kept chopping. Vision blurring a tad. Dragging feet. Linda sniped from the door. Beer in hand early. Folks arriving soon. Pressure built. Dizziness waved. Knife slipped. Can't catch my breath, I gasped.
Oh.
Please, Linda hollered to the yard. Emily's at it again. Jack stormed in. What's the holdup? Saw me clutching the counter. Quit faking. Party's starting. But pain spiked, like a vice on my lungs. I crumpled.
Gasping. Call.
Help. She's fine. Jack barked to gathering kin. Always pulls this. Cody pushed through. She ain't faking. Look at her. Lips turning blue. World fading. He dialed 911 against Jack's yells. Paramedics burst in. Oxygen mask slapped on. Pulmonary embolism, critical. Sirens wailed to the hospital in Billings. Docs confirmed. Blood clot in lungs. From undiagnosed Factor V Leiden, a genetic thing. Mom had it. Should have been screened years back.
Flatlined briefly in ER.
But they pulled me through. Woke to machines beeping. IVs dripping. Cody visited first. Eyes red. You almost bought it.
Cease. Jack.
He stalled. Grandma next. We got him now. Truth's out. Even Dad showed. Guilty. I should have listened. But Jack? Flowers and a card. Get well. We didn't know.
No apology.
Linda stayed away. Hospitals stay opened eyes.
Cousin Mia.
A nurse. Bra clotting info. This borders neglect. I'm reporting if needed. Uncle Hank. Usually quiet. We all turned blind. Sorry. Kid. Family chat log surfaced. Doubts voiced at the party. She looks bad. Jack says drama. Post-ambulance. Could have died. Suppressed stories poured out. Grandma revealed her angle. Invited all to my place next Sunday. Discuss bills and responsibility.
Money drowsing.
I ain't going back. They come to me. Stage is set for you. She'd documented since Mom's death. Dates. Incidents. With my files. It was ironclad. Legal clear. potential neglect case. But humane path confront. Heal. Not destroy. Discharged. I bunked at Grandma Evelyn's cozy cabin on the ranch outskirts, fresh air. No Jack. Her den became prep central. No war, just truth-telling. Compiled docs. ER reports on the embolism's near-fatal edge. Specialist, notes on Factor V Leiden. Timeline poster of dismissed woes. Each kid injury ignored. Illness downplayed. Cody snuck Jack's old ranch logs, entries noting my symptoms but twisting. Emily gripes about headache to skip branding calves. 3 days pre-concussion diagnosis. Mia added med breakdowns. Routine tests would have caught the disorder early. Dad brought Mom's files from the attic. Factor V noted during her pregnancy with me. Doc urging my teen screening. You knew? I asked soft. Buried it after she passed, he admitted. Head hung. Jack always said you were fine. Sunday loomed clear. Grandma's place packed, aunts, uncles, cousins, even Jack's ranch buddies like Doc Ellis and Foreman Ruiz. Looking uneasy. Jack and Linda last. Faces sour. Thanks for coming, Grandma started. Seats arranged circle style. Emily's bills and care need sorting. Insurance handles it, Jack snapped.
No debate.
I stood. Plenty to hash. Unveiled the timeline. Age 9. Ankle fracture. Ignored 3 days. X-ray, thump down. 11. Appendix near burst. School forced. Surgery report. Linda. This overkill, but I pressed. 13. Anxiety as drama. 16. Faint at barbecue. Revealed diagnosis. Mom's clotting disorder. Should have tested me. Room hushed. Page 52. Mom's file. Your copy. Dad.
Pulet laptop.
Played Mia's party vid. Me collapsing. Blue-lipped. Jack dismissing. 14 minutes till 911. 14 minutes. Doc Ellis paled. Respiratory crisis. Criminal delay. Paramedic report. O2 at 76%. Doc says hour from lights out without Cody's call. Jack's logs next. Read 1. Emily claims chest tightness to dodge roundup. Faking for pity. That was pneumonia week, I said. Aunt Sue teared up. Uncle Hank glared at Jack. Linda shrank. Every soul here saw at least one dismissal, I said. Voice firm. Some questioned. Most silent. We all share the load. What you after? Jack whispered. Acknowledgement. Document the neglect pattern. Cover uncovered meds, blood thinners.
Specialists.
Family counseling on trauma. Gaslighting. Extortion, Linda hissed. No, Mia cut. Reckoning. Overdue. Never dismiss pain again, in this family or beyond. And a med emergency fund, run by Mia and Grandma. So belief ain't begged. Absurd, Jack rose.
Seat, Grandma box.
You let her near die while we watched. Agree. Or your rep tanks, I got connections. Doc Ellis nodded. I witnessed.
Jack.
She's fair. Support snowballed. Aunt Sue pledged fund cash. Uncle Hank to oversee. Dad teared. I failed you and your mom. Past's past, I said. Future's fixable. Jack signed shaky. Linda as witness. Eyes averted. Folks filed out hugs. Shamed glances. Jack paused. This ain't no win. You always played victim. I smiled true. No play acting. My pain was real, now I'll see. He deflated. Left wordless. Cody lingered. He won't change full. But now consequences bite. And I trust me now. Weeks later. Packing my old room final time. Ranch felt lighter. Jack dodged me. Linda crashed elsewhere. Downstairs. Dad, stop pretending this is square. What? I know I can't erase it, but let me try better if you'll have it. Without Jack's pull, he seemed freer. Therapy first, I said. He nodded. Driving off. Text rolled. Mia, cousin Jess getting second opinion on kids' pains. Your story woke her. Aunt Sue, fund at $6,000. You shifted us. Emily. Tears came, not hurt, but hope. Grandma right. Best revenge? Ensuring silence ends for all. Emerged onto the interstate. Job interview in Boise ahead, a fresh start. Wasn't fleeing, advancing. Free from doubt's chains. As I cruised those winding western highways, flanked by rugged mountains and endless prairies, I reflected on the deeper shifts. The confrontation wasn't just about airing grievances. It was a pivot toward empathy in a family hardened by ranch life's tough-it-out mentality. In the American West, where self-reliance is gospel, we'd forgotten that vulnerability ain't weakness, it's human. Jack's old-school stoicism had poisoned the well.
But now,
with counseling sessions booked and the fund growing, we were rebuilding on trust. It wasn't perfect. Old habits die hard, but the lesson stuck light and clear. Believe folks when they say they're hurting. It could save a life and heal a home. The drive to Boise felt like shedding old skin. The Montana Badlands giving way to Idaho's rolling hills. My new gig interview was for a sustainable architecture firm, perfect fit for someone raised on wide-open spaces. But my mind kept drifting back to the ripples from that Sunday showdown. It wasn't vengeance that fueled me anymore. It was the quiet power of truth setting things right. Humane-like, without torches or pitchforks. Back at the ranch, changes crept in slow but steady. Cody texted updates. First family therapy session was a doozy. Jack grumbled through it. But the counselor, a no-nonsense type from Billings specializing in rural family dynamics, called him out on the gaslighting. Dismissing pain ain't tough love. It's neglect, she'd said. Legally, we'd kept it in-house, no filing reports. As promised, but Mia had looped in a pro bono lawyer friend to review the agreement. It's binding, the lawyer confirmed. Breaches mean court, but focus on healing. That clarity eased my mind. No more gray areas. Just accountable steps forward. Dad surprised me most. He started showing up, really showing. Called weekly, not just about weather or cattle prices, but asking how I was feeling, body and soul. That clotting thing, you on thinners regular? He'd probe. Voice tentative, but genuine. Therapy was cracking his shell. Turns out, losing Mom had buried him in denial, and Jack's dominance filled the void. I let him lead 'cause I was scared to, he admitted once. Won't happen again. It wasn't overnight magic, but it was progress, a light lesson in owning your blind spots before they blindside your kin. Linda? She thawed slower. Sent a stiff apology card. Sorry for not seeing. But actions spoke louder. She volunteered for the Med Fund, organizing a community bake sale that raked in $2,000. Folks in town heard whispers, Cody said. They're pitching in, your story's spreading. Without the ugly details. That was the humane twist. No public shaming. Just private reckoning that inspired change. Even Jack's ranch hands, like Ruiz, started checking on each other more. No more walk-it-off BS, Ruiz told Cody. The West's rugged ethos was evolving. One family at a time. Settling in Boise. I rented a small apartment overlooking the Boise River, simple, but mine. The firm hired me on the spot, my portfolio, rebuilt from scraps. Impressed with eco-ranch designs inspired by home. Therapy continued remotely, helping process the years of doubt. You reclaimed your narrative, my therapist said. That's empowerment. Dating crept back too, a coffee with a fellow architect.
No ruse.
Just easy talk under starry skies. But the real test came 3 months later. Thanksgiving invite from Grandma.
Whole crew, she said.
Your call. I went, heart pounding as I pulled into the ranch drive. House smelled of turkey and sage, not tension. Jack nodded stiff, progress. Linda hugged awkward. Dad beamed. Over pie. Conversations flowed real. Mia shared fund updates, helped a neighbor kid's ER bill. Uncle Hank joked. We listen now. Ears wide open. Laughter rippled. Light and healing. As night fell, stars blanketing the prairie, Grandma pulled me aside. Proud of you.
Girl.
You didn't burn bridges, you mended 'em. Her eyes twinkled. Lesson learned. Forgiveness ain't weak. It's the strongest rope in the corral. I hugged her tight, feeling whole. Months turned to a year. The fund grew, aiding local families, quiet impact. Jack softened edges. Therapy chipped his armor. One day, he called, that new project of yours, saw it online. Good work.
No saris.
But acknowledgement. Enough for now. Dad, and I rebuilt 2 fishing trips. Honest talks. Your mom's smile, he'd say. Linda became an ally, advocating for women's health in town. Cody thrived, starting his own garage, free from shadows. My life bloomed, promoted at work, a steady guy who listened without question. Pain flares?
I adresed impromptu.
No second-guessing. The clotting disorder managed well. A reminder, but not a chain. Looking back, that near-death was an end. It was rebirth. In the West, where lands vast and hearts guarded, we learned vulnerability binds stronger than silence breaks. The humane path, confront with compassion, taught us all, believe, support, heal. It's the American way, rugged yet kind. Integrating the lesson daily. I volunteered at a local clinic, sharing anonymized stories to train staff on spotting gaslighting in families. It felt full circle, turning personal hell into communal help. Jack even donated ranch proceeds to the fund once, muttering, "Makes sense. Small wins, big shifts." Boise suited me, vibrant yet grounded, like the West itself. My architecture role expanded to leading green ranch retrofits, blending my roots with forward vision. Weekends meant hikes in the sawtooths, clearing my head, affirming my strength. The family scars faded, not vanished, but the humane ending we'd crafted held firm. A year post-confrontation, crisis tested us anew. Cody called. Aunt Linda's down. Bad fall from her horse. Possible fracture. Flashbacks hit, but response differed. Jack drove her straight to ER.
No dismissals.
Better safe, he said. Diagnosis, clean break, quick cast. At family dinner after, gratitude flowed. Thanks for believing me, Linda said. Eyes misty. Learned from the best or worst. Laughter eased the air. The fund covered her copay, no begging. Dad's transformation shone brightest. He started a support group for widowed parents in town, sharing his regrets, urging others to listen to their kids. Emily taught me, he'd say. Our bond deepened. He visited Boise, marveling at my designs. Your mom's spirit in you, strong, real. Jack. Evolution slow, but real. Therapy peeled layers. He admitted fears from his own harsh upbringing drove the toughness. Didn't mean to hurt, he grumbled once over coffee. Won't again. We weren't buddies, but civil, enough for holidays. His ranch hands noted the change. More check-ins. Less suck it up. Grandma Evelyn, the quiet architect of it all, beamed at gatherings. You broke the cycle humane-like, she'd whisper.
No flames.
Just light. Her health held. We cherished her wisdom. My personal wins mounted. Engaged to that architect guy. Alex, patient. Believer. Wedding planned simple. Under Montana stars. Health stable. Annual checks a habit. Not fear. The light lesson echoed. In life's dramas. Revenge scorches. Accountability with heart mends. For American families, especially Western ones where independence reigns, it's vital. Hear the cries. Extend the hand. It saves souls. Rebuilds homes. As I stood on my balcony, sunset painting the horizon gold, peace settled. I'd been ignored to near death, but Rose advocating belief. The unexpected redemption? A family united, not fractured. That's the true West, resilient, compassionate, ever forward. Word count, 912, expand with closing reflections and broader impact. Reflecting broader. My story rippled outward. Local papers ran features on rural medical neglect, anonymous, but inspired by us. Clinics adopted training. Families shared similar tales, seeking help. The fund expanded regionally, aiding dozens. Humane change.
No fanfare.
One evening, Alex and I watched stars. You turned pain to purpose, he said. I nodded. And learned forgiveness heals deepest. The shocking event birthed unexpected grace, a family redeemed, a life reclaimed. Final call with Grandma. How you feeling? Real.
Grandma.
Undeniably real.
Good.
Your mom'd be proud. You didn't just survive. You lifted us all. Driving back to Montana for the wedding, past familiar prairies, I left doubts in the dust. No more pretending, only authentic strides ahead.